Hello from Southern Ontario this October 22nd. This is not one of my political rants and rambles. It's just a silly little story, as per the title, to amuse the gal who's got my back. So, a bit of background. I'm living at the time renting this rather unique little 70-acre property, and it's tucked back in off the road. Didn't even have an emergency number out in front, and it had a gate. But alas, they were selling the place, so I had to leave the gate open for the realtor or any looky-loos that wanted to come in. So it's Saturday morning, and my partner in crime and I have laid out, kind of tucked down behind the trailer, and the swale down by the barn. We're going to repot, or rather pot, a whole bunch of Mexican tomato clones out of their trays. The Mexican tomatoes hadn't been legalized yet in Canada. So my partner in crime, his wife's there, and, we said, you're going to do 6, right? I look suggestively down the drive, her eyes follow me down the drive. She's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. So my partner in crime and I are potting the Mexican tomatoes. And every time I look up, Sue's, I'll change her name to protect the interest, Sue is intently watching us in our little transplantings. I'd look up the drive, and as per human nature, her eyes would follow mine. She'd be looking down the drive. I'd say, you're due at 6, right, Sue? Oh, absolutely, yeah. So for about 2 hours, we're doing this, and I don't know how many times they said, hey, you're doing 6, right? She's looking, oh, yeah. So finally, and as we're doing these, we get a little container filled with them. I'd run them around behind the barn and stash them in the long grass or the weeds or whatever. So I'm coming back. We're just wrapping up. My partner in crime's doing the last of them. And Sue's like, what are you doing? We're like, well, what do you mean? We're done. What she's like, well, I thought I was going to do 6. And we're looking at her, realizing. She's like, well, what? I was watching you all along so I'd know what to do. I was going to do the last 6. We fell about the place, my partner and I. Now she's like, well, what? I was watching all along. So we had to explain to her, 6 being a jailhouse term for keeping an eye out. She's like, well, how would I know that? I've never been in jail. And when you mentioned having my back and keeping 6 for me, I've often meant to just post this little story. I hope you find it amusing. Thanks for everything. Take care.